All right, buckle up because today we're diving straight into a topic that, well, it affects every single one of us every single day.
Mhm.
We're talking cybersecurity, data privacy, and IT governance.
Yeah, it's a world that often feels uh, pretty impenetrable, right? Full of complex rules,
Mhm.
dense technical jargon.
Totally.
Our mission today really is to cut through all that noise,
Mhm.
give you a clear shortcut to understanding the key frameworks and standards that protect our digital lives and, every organization's valuable data.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as your personal guide to the digital fortresses all around us. We've waded through comprehensive reports, standards from the big players like NIST, CIS, ISICA,
Right.
and of course those crucial privacy regulations that shape how your personal information actually gets handled. So yeah, let's unlock this.
Okay.
So our journey starts with what's really the bedrock of digital security, the NIST frameworks. NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology.
Oh, yeah, they've been around forever, since
Yeah.
1901.
Right? Initially focused on like industrial competitiveness. But here's where they made a really pivotal shift. Back in 1995, they branched into cybersecurity.
Recognizing that protecting information was just becoming critical for the economy itself.
Exactly.
And what's really insightful about NIST is how they adapt. Today, three of their most impactful things are the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, the NIST Privacy Framework, and then the much stricter NIST Special Publication 833 Security and Privacy Controls.
Okay.
Each one serves a distinct purpose, but they're all deeply interconnected.
So first up, the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, or CSF. Now, the important thing here is it's not some mandatory checklist that organizations must follow.
Right, it's voluntary.
It's a voluntary framework, more like a flexible guide designed to help organizations manage cybersecurity risk effectively. And it's built on three core parts: the framework core, implementation tiers, and framework profile.
Okay, so the framework core, that's really the engine of the CSF. It's structured around 5 functions that happen at the same time, concurrently.
Right. Not steps one after another.
Exactly. They're continuous activities running in parallel.
Yeah,
They
right.
are.
Yeah.
Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover.
Okay, so identify. That's pretty straightforward. It's all about knowing what you actually need to protect. Your systems, users, sensitive data, all that. Protect involves putting safeguards in place. Things like access controls, maybe encryption, definitely data backups, and crucially, training for employees too.
Yeah, the human element.
Definitely. Then detect, that's your early warning system,
Hmm.
actively spotting cyber attacks by monitoring networks, devices, and yeah, even sometimes high-risk employee behavior.
And if something does manage to slip through, respond lays out how a company contains the incident,
Yeah.
mitigates the damage, notifies who needs to know,
Right.
and finally, recover focuses on getting things back to normal, restoring systems, repairing damage, getting files back, getting employees back on track.
We saw a great example of these functions working together with Falcon CPAs and Associates, an accounting and IT auditing firm.
Yeah.
They rolled out new security software based on NIST, and guess what? It detected some really suspicious employee activity.
Like what?
Like weekend and after-hours access to records and someone using way too many USB drives. Turned out an individual was secretly stealing banking information.
Wow. Okay, so see how those functions work together there.
Yeah.
Once that risky behavior was detected, Falcon could then respond. Analyze the impacts, talk to the affected employees, put immediate fixes in place. And for recovery, they'd restore any stolen data, boost their protections against that kind of access, and then take disciplinary or even legal action. It's a whole integrated cycle, not just separate steps.
That Falcon example really drives it home. And here's something inferring from the sources. It almost flips how we think about detection.
Oh.
Imagine a webcam on a locked door. The lock is your main protection, right?
Sure.
But the webcam, which is a detection tool that spots a thief, can actually deter the crime just by being there.
Ah, right. The visibility acts as a deterrent.
Exactly. So similarly, in the NIST framework, strong detection tools don't just react to threats. They can actually act as a powerful deterrent, an indirect form of protection.
That's a great point. So beyond the core, we have the implementation tiers. Now, these aren't about how you do the functions, like identify or protect. They're about how sophisticated your cybersecurity practices are, how deeply they're integrated across the whole organization.
Okay.
There are 4 tiers: partial, risk-informed, repeatable, and adaptive.
So partial sounds like maybe not great. Like your risk management is pretty ad hoc, reactive, putting out fires.
Pretty much, yeah. Risk-informed means you're starting to prioritize based on risk, but cybersecurity might still feel a bit separate, like its own silo.
Okay.
Repeatable suggests you're systematically building cybersecurity into your planning. You've got documented policies, procedures, things are more consistent,
Yeah.
and then the highest level, adaptive. Here, cybersecurity is based on constantly getting better, iterative improvement. It responds to new threats. Managing cyber risk is an organization-wide priority, just like any other business risk. It's proactive, always improving.
Makes sense. And the final piece for the CSF framework profiles, what are those exactly?
These are basically your strategic roadmaps. You figure out your current profile, like here's where we are now with risk management.
Okay, the snake shot.
Exactly. Then you define a target profile. This is where we want to be.
A goal.
Right. And the gap analysis then clearly shows the differences between the two. That analysis drives the specific changes you need to make. It's a way to measure progress, map out a clear path forward.
Okay, that covers the cybersecurity framework pretty well. But what about the personal information side of things? The data we're all increasingly trusting organizations with.
Right, huge topic. That's where the newer NIST privacy framework comes in.
Oh.
It was published in early 2020, and it's specifically designed to help organizations protect individual data during processing. And it uses a very similar structure to the CSF.
Ah, okay. So it also has a core tiers profile.
It does. And there's significant overlap, too. The CSFs detect, respond, and recover functions. They can directly apply to privacy risks as well.
Interesting.
It really shows how cybersecurity and privacy are like two sides of the same coin. They often need similar operational capabilities.
But what's unique about the privacy framework then?
Well, it has its own distinct functions, 8 of them. Identify P, govern P, control P, communicate P, protect P, and then it shares, detect, respond, and recover with the CSF.
Okay, so those P functions are privacy specific.
Exactly. They help organizations answer specific questions like, what are our privacy risks when we process data? Or what's the best governance structure for managing these privacy risks?
Gotcha.
And a key difference in the implementation tiers for the privacy framework is the addition of a workforce subdivision.
Workforce.
Yeah, it measures the maturity of an organization's privacy function based on how many dedicated privacy people they have and how much training everyone gets. It goes from sort of ad hoc, informal efforts up to broad-based, continuous training for everybody.
Okay, interesting distinction. All right, let's pivot slightly and get even more specific, maybe a bit stricter, with NIST SP 853, Security and Privacy Controls.
Ah, yes, 853. This one isn't voluntary like the CSF.
Right.
It's a really comprehensive, detailed standard, especially critical for federal information systems. It's designed to protect against highly sophisticated threats, and we're talking like nearly 1,200 individual controls in there.
Wow, 1,200, that's a lot.
It is. Its core purpose is helping organizations pick and implement the exact security and privacy controls they need to manage risk effectively. For federal agencies, this means meeting the really tough cybersecurity demands set by government mandates, like FISMA, the Federal Information Security Modernization Act.
So it ensures critical government data is protected against, evolving threats.
Precisely.
And who is this document really aimed at? It sounds pretty technical.
It targets a broad audience, actually.
Yeah.
Chief information officers, sure, but also system engineers, auditors, even hardware developers. Basically, anyone involved in designing, building, running, or overseeing information systems, particularly in that federal context.
Okay.
Organizations using NIST SP 853 have to have extremely well-defined security and privacy requirements. They need to use trustworthy system components, plan rigorously, and do continuous monitoring to make sure things are working.
And there was a change recently, right, in Revision 5?
Yeah, a significant one. It moved away from earlier ways of prioritizing controls or meeting just a baseline. Now, it emphasizes comprehensive conformance,
Meaning
organizations basically need to meet all the controls that apply to them rather than just hitting a specific minimum baseline. It's a much more thorough, rigorous approach.
Okay, that makes sense. It feels like our digital lives are just getting more and more intertwined with how our personal info is handled.
Absolutely.
And that brings us straight into the crucial landscape of data privacy and data security standards. I mean, the basic purpose of privacy laws seems simple enough, right? Protect an individual's private life, build trust.
That trust is absolutely paramount. These laws tell organizations, whether it's your credit card company or your doctor's office, how they must collect, process, maintain, and disclose our data. They demand transparency, confidentiality, limited access.
What's fascinating, though, is how different places tackle this. In the US, privacy laws often focus on specific types of data, like health data with API or financial data.
Right. Sectoral approach.
Yeah, there's no single big federal law covering all personal data, but then you look at the EU with the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation.
Yeah, GDPR is comprehensive. It's a
Yes.
single law governing most personal data for anyone interacting with EU citizens. Doesn't matter where the company is actually based.
That global reach is huge.
hmm And this brings us directly to the threat that really underpins a lot of this regulation: data breaches.
Right.
Simply put, a data breach is when confidential information gets exposed to people who shouldn't see it, unauthorized persons.
And these can happen by accident, right? Like negligence or just a mistake.
Totally.
Yeah.
Unintentional breaches happen.
Yeah.
But then you also have the intentional ones caused by malicious actors, hackers, insiders sometimes.
The impact on companies can be just devastating. We're talking business disruption, serious damage to their reputation.
Huge financial loss.
Yeah, financial loss, actual data loss, and then massive legal and regulatory headaches. That IBM cost of data breach report for 2022 really put a number on it.
What was it again?
The average cost of a data breach was over $4 million.
Wow. $4 million. Average.
Average. And that $4 million isn't just one lump sum, right? It breaks down.
Exactly. There's the cost to actually detect the breach, investigate it,
Yeah.
then the cost to notify consumers, regulators.
Right. The notifications alone can be expensive.
Yeah. Then the post-breach response, things like fines, maybe offering credit monitoring to affected people, and of course the loss of business, downtime, customers leaving. It's complex and very costly.
And for us, the consumers, the impact is way more personal, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
It means sensitive stuff, names, addresses, social security numbers, bank details could be out there, putting us at real risk of identity theft, monetary loss. It's a tangible threat.
Definitely.
So let's dive into some of the really key privacy regulations, starting with one many people have heard of, HAPIA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act from 1996.
Right, HAEA. This set national standards for healthcare privacy and security, leading to two main rules: the privacy rule and the security rule.
Okay, the privacy rule, what's that about?
It specifically governs protected health information, or PHI. It applies to what they call covered entities, healthcare providers, health plans, clearinghouses,
Okay.
and importantly also their business associates. These are the service providers who need access to PHI to do their jobs for the covered entity.
Ah, so contractors and vendors too.
Exactly. The rule details when PHI can be used or disclosed without needing extra patient authorization, like for treatment, getting paid, or basic healthcare operations.
Got it. And the security rule.
That focuses specifically on electronic PHI, or ePHI. It requires covered entities to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of that electronic health information.
Okay.
It's also about protecting against threats they expect might happen, guarding against improper uses, and making sure their whole workforce follows the rules.
Does it say how they have to do that?
It does. It mandates specific safeguards. There are administrative safeguards like having proper security management processes, training staff, physical safeguards, controlling access to buildings, securing workstations, and technical safeguards like having strong access control systems, audit logs, and making sure data is transmitted securely.
Now, IPPAW wasn't the end of the story, right? There was the ICATech Act later on.
Right. HATEC Act of 2009. This really pushed the move towards electronic health records. It significantly increased the penalties for HIPAA violations.
Ouch.
Yeah, made it much more serious. It also gave patients the right to get their electronic records easily, and crucially, it made those business associates directly liable under the rules too. They couldn't hide behind the covered entity anymore.
That's a big change.
Huge. But maybe the most impactful change from HATEC was adding the breach notification rules.
Ah, this is where the 60-day thing comes from.
Exactly. Covered entities now have to notify affected individuals of a breach within 60 days of discovering it. That forced transparency was a real game changer.
Okay. Next up, the big one from Europe, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, effective May 2018. Famous for its global reach, right?
Absolutely renowned for it. Even if a company processing data isn't in the EU, if they're offering goods or services to people in the EU or monitoring their behavior, GDPR applies.
And the penalties are serious.
Oh yeah. Tens of millions of dollars, or a percentage of global revenue, whichever is higher. They don't mess around.
Wow. So what are the core ideas behind GDPR?
It operates on 6 core principles for processing data. They include lawfulness, fairness, and transparency.
Okay. Sounds reasonable.
Purpose limitation, meaning data has to be processed for specific, explicit, legitimate reasons. And data minimization, only collect and process data that's actually necessary.
Let's unpack those two for a second. Purpose limitation, that sounds like it forces companies to think before they grab data.
Exactly. It shifts away from that old mindset of collect everything just in case, to
But
collect only what you need for a stated legitimate purpose. It really flips the script on just grabbing data.
And data minimization, like if a grocery store just needs my name for delivery, they shouldn't ask for my birthday too.
Precisely. Only collect what's absolutely necessary for the task at hand.
Makes sense. What are the others?
Accuracy data needs to be correct and kept up to date.
Oh.
Storage limitations don't keep data forever, only as long as necessary for the purpose. And integrity and confidentiality process data securely, protected against unauthorized access, loss, or damage.
Now, I remember hearing about issues with the transferring data between the EU and the US, something called Privacy Shield.
Ah, yes, the ongoing
Yeah.
saga. Privacy Shield was an agreement meant to allow legal data transfers, but the EU court invalidated it back in 2020.
So what are companies doing now? How do they legally send data back and forth?
It's a critical question, and honestly, a bit of a headache for global businesses.
Yeah.
Many have shifted to using standard contractual clauses, or SCCs.
Right.
These are basically pre-approved contract templates for data transfer. But using them also requires companies to do extra checks to make sure the receiving country's laws offer protection similar to GDPR. It's an ongoing challenge. The legal landscape keeps shifting.
Sounds messy. Okay, finally in this section, let's talk payment cards. PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard.
Right. With cashless transactions exploding, the major financial institutions, Visa, MasterCard, etc., got together and developed this standard to boost payment security. It's built on 6 main goals and 12 detailed requirements.
And everyone handling card data has to meet these.
Pretty much, yeah. Retailers, banks, processors.
Oh.
If you store, process, or transmit cardholder data, PCI DSS applies.
What are the main goals?
Things like build and maintain a secure network, protect cardholder data, that's a big one, maintain a vulnerability management program, implement strong access control measures, regularly monitor and test networks, and maintain a solid information security policy.
Okay, so give us a picture. How do these 12 requirements work in a typical transaction, like when I buy something with my card?
Sure. Imagine you buy something, the retailer submits a transaction, it goes to their bank, then maybe through a card network like Visa, then to your bank.
Okay.
The 12 requirements of PCI DSS apply across all those players.
Exactly.
Okay, like installing firewalls to protect data, never using the default passwords that come with systems, encrypting cardholder data when it's stored.
Right. Don't store it in plain text.
Definitely not. Encrypting data when it's traveling across public networks, using up-to-date antivirus software, restricting physical access to servers, tracking and monitoring all network access, regularly testing security systems like doing penetration tests. It really aims to cover every angle of that payment process to keep card data safe.
Okay, that makes sense. We've covered the strategic blueprints like NIST and the vital regulations like HIPAA and GDPR. Now let's get down to the brass tacks. What are the concrete actions organizations can actually take to strengthen their defenses?
Right, the practical stuff. That brings us perfectly to the CIS critical security controls. CIS stands for the Center for Internet Security. These are a recommended set of actions, best practices, designed to actively harden an organization's cybersecurity posture.
And these have changed over time, right?
They have, yeah. They're continuously evolving. Version 8 was a significant shift. They moved from being organized by, like, who manages a device, to being more task-focused, organized by activities.
Okay.
This actually streamlined them from 20 controls down to 18, but with 153 detailed subcategories called safeguards. This change makes them much more adaptable to modern ways of working, lots of cloud, lots of remote work.
And they're built on some clear principles.
Very clear principles. They aim to align with other major standards like NIST, CSF, and COBIT, which we'll get to. They're designed to be measurable. They operate on the idea that offense informs defense, meaning they're based on how attackers actually behave and what defenses work against them.
Practical.
Very. Plus, they focus on prioritizing the most critical problems first, and they're designed to be feasible to implement, even for smaller organizations that maybe don't have huge security teams.
So how does a smaller organization know where to start with 18 controls and 153 safeguards?
Great question. CIS helps with that by providing 3 self-assessed implementation groups, or IGs, IG1, IG2, and IG3. Organizations can figure out which group fits them based on their size and risk profile, and that helps them prioritize which controls and safeguards are most important for them.
Okay, break down the IGs. What's IG1?
IG1 is typically for smaller or medium-sized businesses, maybe limited IT and security resources. Their main focus is often just keeping the lights on, basic operational continuity. They might handle some sensitive data, but it's limited.
Makes sense. IG2.
IG2 includes everything in IG1, but it's geared towards companies with maybe dedicated IT staff supporting multiple departments. They likely handle more sensitive client data. They might be able to tolerate short interruptions, but a loss of public trust from a breach would be a major concern for them.
Okay. And IG3.
IG3 is the most comprehensive. It includes IG1 and IG2. These are organizations that usually have security experts across different areas. They manage highly sensitive, maybe regulated data. An attack on them could cause significant public harm, major disruption. They need the most robust security.
All right, let's zoom in on some of these key CIS controls. See how they work in practice. Control 01, inventory and control of enterprise assets. Sounds fundamental.
It absolutely is. This is about actively tracking and managing all your IT assets. Physical servers, laptops, virtual machines, cloud instances, everything.
Because you can't protect what you don't know you have.
Exactly. This helps prioritize security for devices holding sensitive info, and it also helps spot risks, like unauthorized devices connecting to your network. Think about personal phones or USB drives.
Right. Okay. Control 03, data protection. Also sounds critical.
Hugely critical. This helps organizations securely manage the entire data lifecycle, from identifying it, classifying it based on sensitivity, all the way to securely getting rid of it when it's no longer needed.
Classification, like marking data as public or confidential.
Precisely. You might have labels like internal, public, sensitive, confidential. This classification then tells you what security measures are needed. Maybe sensitive data needs strong encryption, stricter access controls. It also involves data mapping, knowing where your sensitive data actually lives across your systems.
Got it. Then we have controls 05 and 06, account management and access control management. They sound related.
They work hand in hand. Control 05 is about properly managing credentials for all types of accounts, regular users, administrators with high privileges, even non-human service accounts used by applications.
Okay.
Control 06 builds on that by emphasizing two key principles: least privilege and need to know.
Meaning?
Least privilege means users should only have the minimum permissions necessary to do their jobs, nothing more. Need to know means even if they have access rights, they should only access the specific information required for their task.
Restrict access as much as possible, basically.
That's the idea, and a key part of implementing these controls effectively today often involves using single sign-on, or SSO.
For convenience, right. One login for multiple apps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But critically, combining SSO with multi-factor authentication, or MFA.
The extra code from your phone or an app.
Right. That second factor makes it vastly harder for attackers to get in, even if they somehow steal a password. MFA is a huge security boost.
Okay. Control 08, audit log management. What's the deal here?
This is all about collecting system logs, security logs, application logs. Basically, the digital footprints of everything happening in your IT environment.
Like a flight recorder for IT.
That's a great analogy. These logs provide valuable, often real-time info for security alerts, investigating incidents after they happen, troubleshooting problems, even for legal or compliance reasons.
So the goal is to gather them all in one place.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Centralized log management makes it much easier to spot patterns or anomalies quickly. Like, are we seeing tons of failed login attempts for one account? Is someone accessing systems at weird hours?
Makes sense. Control 10, malware defenses. Pretty self-explanatory.
Mostly, yeah. It's about preventing malicious software viruses, ransomware, spyware from getting installed and spreading. Automated anti-malware tools running everywhere are key.
Anything tricky here?
Well, one increasingly common tactic is called living off the land attacks.
Living off the land.
Yeah. This is where attackers don't bring their own obvious malicious tools. Instead, they use the legitimate tools already present on the victim's system, built-in Windows tools, scripting languages to do their dirty work.
Ah, so they blend in.
Exactly. It's like a burglar using your own tools they find in your garage to break into your house. It makes them incredibly hard to detect because they're not introducing anything obviously foreign.
Sneaky. You mentioned an example.
Yeah, the Family Practice Medical Link case. Attackers apparently used a standard Windows tool called WMI, Windows Management Instrumentation, to turn off security software and then quietly steal medical records. Undetected.
Wow. Okay, Control 11, data recovery. Backups, basically.
Backups, testing, and restoration processes, yes. Ransomware attacks are a prime example of why this is critical, but also human error, hardware failures, natural disasters. Anything can make data unusable.
So what's best practice?
Automating backups is huge. Storing backups off-site, or at least offline so they aren't hit by the same incident. Encrypting the backups themselves. And crucially, regularly testing that you can actually restore data from those backups. A backup you can't restore is useless.
Good point. Control 13. Network monitoring and defense. What kind of threats are we looking at here?
This focuses on monitoring your network infrastructure against threats. Common ones include denial of service or DOS attacks.
Or they flood your network with traffic so legitimate users can't get in?
Exactly, overwhelm the capacity. And also ransomware, which we mentioned, where they encrypt your data, block your access, and demand payment to get it back.
So what kind of tools help with this?
There's a whole alphabet soup: SIEM systems, security information and event management, which are like that central control room, correlating logs and alerts from everywhere. NAPS network intrusion prevention systems, which actively try to block malicious traffic they detect. NGFW next-generation firewalls, which are smarter firewalls that understand applications and users, not just network addresses and ports. Also things like DLP data loss prevention tools and EDR endpoint detection and response. Lots of tech involved.
All right. Control 14. Security awareness and skills training. Back to the human element.
Absolutely critical, because uninformed employees can be one of the biggest risks. Social engineering tactics, phishing emails, scam phone calls relying on human error or lack of awareness.
So train people not to click weird links.
That's part of it, but it needs to be more comprehensive and frequent. Training should cover recognizing unusual behavior, social engineering tricks, how to handle sensitive data properly, and importantly, how to report suspicious incidents quickly. It's about building a human firewall. Regular, relevant training is key.
Okay, almost there with CIS. Control 17. Incident response management.
This is about having a plan before something bad happens, establishing a program to detect, respond to, and prepare for attacks.
What goes into that plan?
Knowing who the key contacts are, having defined response teams, clear communication plans internally and potentially externally to customers, regulators like under HIPAA or GDPR.
Right, those notification requirements.
Exactly. And a crucial part is doing routine exercises or drills, tabletop exercises, simulations, so that when a real incident hits, people aren't figuring out what to do for the first time. They've practiced.
Makes sense. And finally, Control 18. Penetration testing. How is this different from, say, vulnerability scanning?
Good question. Vulnerability scanning, which is part of Control 7, is more about automatically finding known weaknesses. Penetration testing, or pen testing, goes a significant step further.
How so?
Pen testers actively try to exploit those weaknesses. They simulate what a real attacker would do to try and break in, bypass controls, access sensitive data, see how far they can actually get.
So it's like hiring ethical hackers to attack you.
Essentially, yes. Think of it like a red team exercise. They're legally trying to find every possible way to breach your defenses.
You had an example for this too.
Yeah, First Payment Network, Inc. They developed new biorecognition payment tech, like using fingerprints. They hired a red team specifically to try and forge a fingerprint or find ways to bypass that biometric system.
And the goal is?
To find those weaknesses before a real attacker does. It turns potential vulnerabilities that you might just see on a scan report into actual demonstrated risks that need fixing, leading to much stronger defenses.
Got it. Wow, okay. We've covered a ton of ground, NIST, privacy laws, the practical CIS controls. Now, let's zoom out again, maybe to the highest strategic level with the COBIT 2019 framework.
Right, COBIT. COBIT stands for Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. It's a very widely used standard for enterprise IT governance, developed by ISCA.
ISCA.
Yeah, they're a global nonprofit, been around since the late 60s. They created COBIT as a comprehensive roadmap for organizations, helping them implement best practices for governing and managing their IT effectively.
So it's about managing IT well.
Governing and managing. COBIT makes a really key distinction there. It started more as standards for auditors, but it's evolved into this robust global framework. The big goal is aligning IT strategy with the overall enterprise strategy, making sure IT actually creates value, not just costs money.
Okay, so what is that distinction between governance and management in COBIT's view?
It's fundamental. Governance is typically the responsibility of the board of directors. Their job is to evaluate strategic options, set the overall direction for management, and then monitor performance against those objectives. Think high-level oversight and direction setting.
Okay. And management.
Management is about the day-to-day. planning, building, running, and monitoring the operations needed to achieve those enterprise goals. This is usually handled by the CEO, CFO, CIO, other executive leaders, following the directions set by the board.
So clear separation of roles.
Very clear. But both internal folks like IT managers and external ones like regulators or customers are stakeholders who care about how well this whole system works.
And COBIT 2019 builds on principles.
It does. It incorporates 6 principles for a good governance system and 3 principles for a good governance framework. This forms the core model, which can then be customized.
Let's touch on those system principles.
Sure. One is provide stakeholder value, basically, balancing the benefits, risks, and resources needed to meet stakeholder needs. Another is holistic approach, recognizing that it's not just IT processes, but many different components working together.
Like what kind of components?
We'll get to those, but think culture, skills, information, structure. Then there's dynamic governance system. It has to be able to adapt to changes in strategy, tech, threats.
Makes sense.
It also emphasizes governance distinct from management, which we just talked about, crucial for clarity, tailored to enterprise needs. Recognizing one size doesn't fit all, you have to adapt it. An end-to-end governance system, meaning governance should cover all information and technology across the enterprise, not just the IT department in isolation.
Okay. And those components you mentioned, what are they?
There are 7 key components that COBIT says contribute to successful IT governance. They include processes, organizational structures, principles, policies, frameworks, information, culture, ethics, behavior, people skills, competencies, and services infrastructure applications. All these need to work together.
Comprehensive. And the framework principles.
3 main ones. Based on conceptual model, which ensures consistency and allows automation. Open and flexible, meaning it can be customized and integrate with other standards. And aligned to major standards, so it plays nicely with frameworks like NIST and CIS that we've already discussed.
Okay, so what's really at the heart of COBIT?
At its core are the governance and management objectives. These are the specific things the organization needs to achieve to ensure IT contributes to the overall company goals, maximizes value, minimizes risk.
So objectives for governance and objectives for management.
Exactly. The governance objectives fall under one domain called EDM, Evaluate, Direct, and Monitor.
EDM, what does that cover?
It has 5 specific objectives. Things like ensuring IT investments actually deliver the promised benefits, optimizing risk exposure, making sure resources like budget and people are used effectively, and ensuring good stakeholder engagement. It's that board-level oversight.
We saw an example of this, right? The Alliance Corps.
Yes, the Alliance Corps, that high-end furniture retailer. Their executive team used the EDM processes to assess their own company. They found significant gaps, inconsistent IT governance across departments, issues with realizing benefits from IT projects, problems with risk and resource optimization.
Well, what did they do?
Based on that COBIT assessment, they decided to overhaul their entire IT function. They got rid of duplicate processes, redefined IT staff roles to better align with those governance objectives like benefits delivery and risk management. It's a great example of using the framework to drive real strategic change, connecting IT directly to business outcomes.
Okay, so that's governance. What about the management objectives?
These are broken down into 4 domains representing the life cycle of IT management. First is APO, align, plan, and organize.
APO, focus.
This focuses on the overall IT strategy, how IT is organized, and the supporting activities needed. Things like managing innovation, managing the IT budget, managing security, managing data fall under here.
Okay. Second domain.
BAI, build, acquire, and implement. This is about actually getting IT solutions built or bought and integrated into the business processes. Managing projects, managing IT changes, managing IT assets and knowledge are key parts of BAI.
So putting things into practice.
Right. Third is DSS, deliver, service, and support. This deals with the ongoing operational delivery and support of IT services, managing daily operations, managing business continuity, managing security services, supporting users, that's DSS.
Keeping things running smoothly and securely.
Exactly. And finally, MEA, monitor, evaluate, and assess. This is the feedback loop. It focuses on monitoring IT performance against targets, ensuring internal controls are effective, and checking conformance with external requirements, like regulations. Compliance and assurance live here.
So EDM at the governance level, and then APO, BAI, DSS, MEA for management.
You got it. That's the core structure.
What makes COBIT clever? You mentioned customization.
Right. It uses something called design factors. There are 11 of them. Things like the company's overall strategy, its risk profile, the current threat landscape, even the size of the enterprise. These factors help tailor the IT governance system which objectives are most important, how deeply they should be implemented to fit that specific organization's context and needs.
So it's not rigid.
Not at all. And it also uses focus areas. These are specific topics or issues like cybersecurity, cloud computing, privacy, DevOps. COBIT shows how you can address these focus areas by combining relevant objectives and components from the core model. It allows for a really tailored strategic approach to whatever IT challenges a company is facing.
Wow, what an incredible deep dive today. We have really journeyed through this vast, often complex, but interconnected landscape of digital protection.
You certainly covered a lot of ground.
We started with those foundational NIST frameworks, right? Exploring the flexible cybersecurity and privacy frameworks, and then the much more detailed, stricter NIST SP 853 controls, especially for federal systems.
Then we navigated through those critical privacy and data security standards, HIPAA and HITECH for healthcare, the far-reaching GDPR from the EU, and PCI DSS for payment card security. Really understanding their role in safeguarding our information and the serious consequences for companies if they have a data breach.
Yeah, the $4 million average cost really sticks with you. And then we rounded it out with the very practical, actionable insights from the CIS critical security controls. We got into specifics like asset inventory, data protection, why strong account management with MFA is so vital, and the importance of incident response planning.
And finally, we zoomed out to that strategic governance level with COBIT 2019. Clearly seeing the difference between governance, the board's role, and management, the executive's role, and understanding its comprehensive approach to making sure IT actually supports and enables the overall business goals.
So the key takeaway for you listening in is this. Getting your head around these frameworks and standards, it isn't just for the tech folks.
Not at all.
It's really about understanding how organizations, the ones you interact with every day, build trust and try to build resilience in this digital world we all live in.
It's like a powerful shortcut to being well-informed about that complex dance of protecting valuable digital assets.
Yeah.
Whether you're an IT pro or just someone who cares about where your data goes and how it's protected in today's connected world.
Absolutely. So as you reflect on all this, maybe here's a thought to chew on, something to mull over. Given how incredibly fast technology evolves and how threats change constantly, what might be the next critical dimension these frameworks need to adapt to, beyond just data, beyond just systems? What's the next frontier they need to address to ensure true digital resilience in the future?
That's a great question to ponder. What comes next?